Today I will be discussing the effects of drunk driving. This will also include buzz driving and taking a closer look into the alcoholic limits set by the states within the United States. We will look into what alcohol is, what values and percentages amount to, what is concluded as drunk driving, what happens to the body when alcohol is consumed, the hardcore statistics of driving drunk in the United States, as well as how to best conquer the urge to drive drunk in the first place. We hear often that drunk driving is a horrible thing and that statistics are high, yet it occurs more and more every year. So let's first look into what alcohol is made up of and what these values amount to. Ethyl alcohol, more commonly known as ethanol, is an intoxicating ingredient found in beer, wine, and liquor. Alcohol is produced by fermentation of yeast, sugar, and starches that is ultimately added to these types of drinks. We often hear or see printed on the labels of alcoholic beverages the alcoholic proof or percentage of alcohol content. Therefore, I decided to do further research into what this means and where the terminology came about. It turns out that it was a pretty interesting story from years ago. I gathered this story from the Betty Ford Center website, which is an agency that is based upon principles of health and services for every individual. It turns out that the word proof came about years ago when ships uploading their cargo of whiskey had one way to tell the strength of the liquor they were carrying. Then they mixed a spoonful of whiskey with a pinch of gunpowder. When a lighted match was dropped into the mixture, it ignited with an audible proof. This event of micro-fireworks would happen only if the alcohol content was 50% or more by volume. Today, proof is defined as twice the content by volume. This means that in whiskey with 50% alcohol is termed to be 100% proof whiskey. But why is all of this important? We know that driving drunk is bad, but how much is too much? Is consumption of small amounts okay to do? How much alcohol is considered too much, and who came up with these statistics and figures? Is there a science behind it all? I decided to analyze these questions further. Let's first start out with the blood alcohol concentration, or content, also known as BAC. Blood alcohol concentration is simply the amount of alcohol within a person's body. Because alcohol is quickly absorbed into the body, it can be measured within the blood or detected on one's breath within 30 to 70 minutes of consumption. There are many things that increase your blood alcohol content and how quickly one will feel drunk or buzzed. These factors include how fast you are consuming the alcohol. Another factor is your gender and weight. Women generally have less water and more body fat per pound of body weight than men, thus resulting in women naturally catching a buzz quicker. Your weight is a factor because the more that you weigh per pound also concludes that you have more water present in your body and reversing the effects of alcoholic beverages by having a greater probability of diluting what is being consumed. Lastly, the amount of food in your stomach affects the absorption of alcohol in your system. Oftentimes, individuals will say things like, "I need to eat something first," or "eating bread before drinking will help." This is actually true because you are slowing down the digestion process when you have had something to eat. Other factors to consider are how much alcohol is being consumed and how quickly, along with how long one has been drinking alcohol in general. Oftentimes, individuals can formulate a moderate tolerance for alcoholic beverages, but never can the effects disappear from these tolerances. Unfortunately, the only way to truly reduce your blood alcohol content once alcohol has been consumed is by waiting out for the appropriate amount of time for the alcohol to be metabolized by the body. One myth is to consume water while drinking alcohol, which is true, but in order to truly counterbalance the amount of alcohol and its effects, one must drink 1.5 glasses of water for every glass consumed, which is rarely ever the case. So now that we've discovered what blood alcohol concentration means, let's dive further into what alcohol does to the body and why it's rather harmful to get behind the wheel while intoxicated. Alcohol affects the body in many different ways and impacts every individual differently. First and foremost, it affects your reflexes, coordination, muscle control, and reaction time. Alcohol drastically affects one's vision for short periods of time. It can cause blurred vision, tunnel vision, dizziness, and even depth perception. All of these factors are worrisome when operating a vehicle, being that vision and concentration on the road is vital. It also affects the vision sensitivity to light and makes night vision difficult to become accustomed to. Alcohol increases the likelihood of poor judgment and comprehension. It affects an individual's coordination and oftentimes gives a false sense of confidence. Again, all of these factors, paired with actually getting behind the wheel, you can quickly understand the effects it would cause there. Everything from speeding, unknowingly swerving, having greater confidence in your abilities or skills as a driver, and even feeling as though you can test the limits of what a car can